Greetings once again, demons. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with Dead Rock. Last time, the members of Class 1F found their next class to be the Death Arena, headed by the instructor Lozin, mostly to test their combat ability. But things quickly take a turn for the worse, as Lozin quickly shows that being sent to the Death Arena is a death sentence, more or less, as we're shown that he enslaves students, turning them almost into a type of the undead, more or less teetering in between life and death. Any injury done to them doesn't completely kill them, with them still being forced to move to Lozin's command. Even worse, after we find out that Freya's sister had come to Dead Rock and had died there, we find that she experienced a fate worse than death, enslavement by Lozin. In the desperate situation where they risk being overrun, Yukito goes into his full black dragon form. But how long can Yakuto hold out? And now, seeing what happened to her sister, what will Frey do with this information? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Dead Rock Chapter 5, Fire Cry. Think I know what that means. I miss these little info cards that Mashima used to do. He used to do this for Fairy Tail too, and he did it for Rave Master, sometimes giving a little bit more information to certain elements of certain characters and highlighting certain mysterious elements as well. Might mean he's into a long haul for Dead Rock. Might end up lasting a lot longer than he initially said he wanted it to last. Alright, profile. Name, Yakuto. Root, Black Dragon. Class, 1F. Likes pasta. Dislikes black coffee. Interesting. Me and him are on the same on that level. Notes: he came to Dead Rock to kill God, the principal. He has a lot of plans, but his true motivation for killing God is unknown. Though we saw in that flashback that he might be a human who was infused with properties of the Black Dragon, much like the original Acnologia from Fairy Tail. Speaking of which, we see the fully transformed Yakuto very much looking exactly like Acnologia. Like, he's just straight up Acnologia. Though I can't blame Mashima, it is a badass design. Ryzen cheers, saying, I don't really know what's going on, but whoa, that's got punch. Get him, Yakuto. We then see Frey's enslaved sister shambling towards them. Frey is stunned by this sight, silently calling out to her big sis. But as her sister rushes towards her and Frey is almost overtaken, she can only eke out the words, why? But Makoto dives in, pulling Frey out of the way. She shouts at Frey, what are you spacing out for? And Frey is still stunned, saying, cause my big sis. It's then that Yakuto cries out with a monstrous roar, slamming down next to Ryzen. As Ryzen barely avoids being smashed, he gets angry, saying, what the heck? What are you aiming for? But we see an odd energy start to surround Yakuto's body. Makoto thinks to herself, something's corroding him. He's not in his right mind. Hani calls out, bird, don't get crushed! Only to see that Choco is long gone. Hani says, whoa, that bird flees quick. And as Yakuto continues to rampage, Hani says, damn it, are you still stupid? Hani grows to a gargantuan size and uses their hammer to smash Yakuto in the face, sending him flying backward into the Colosseum. Lozin laughs. Hey now, don't bust up my death arena. Hien then says, we'll have to stop him ourselves. And as Hien charges in with Ryzen calls out, even if it kills him, right? Hien says, that's my intention. They're going after Yakuto. Gotcha. I thought they were going after Lozin. So as the two go in on Yakuto swings at the two, but they manage to dodge. Ryzen goes in with his sword and manages to deliver a powerful strike to Yakuto's right arm, but it barely leaves a mark. Ryzen is taken aback, saying, seriously? Next is Hien's turn. As he goes to draw his sword, he unleashes a powerful ice strike right to Yakuto's face, but it does nothing. The ice quickly evaporates, and as Yakuto goes to swing on Hien manages to bound off of Yakuto's arm. Hien lands, while Ryzen gets ready to strike again, all the while Hani faces off against the giant Yakuto. Meanwhile, Lozen is enjoying the battle, saying, yes, good. There's the duel I wanted. Ooh, Hani's not looking too good. They're beaten and busted and starting to crack along the edges. As Hani says, too tough. Meanwhile, Frey goes racing off, with Makoto calling out to her, but with the determination in her eyes, Frey says, I gotta save my sis. Makoto questions, your sister? Don't tell me she's one of the battle pets. Frey calls out, yeah, my dear sis is, and Makoto says, it's hopeless. They can't be saved. And as Frey continues to rush forward, she says, no, I'm gonna save her. Yakuto then lets out another powerful roar, and we see the bodies of several of the battle pets strewn across the battlefield. Lozen sighs, saying, you killed a whole bunch of my battle pets, but it's cool. As long as I get to you. His body starts to emanate energy, and several of the battle pets start to fly up in the air. As Lozen says, guess I'll use my trump card. Demonic super macho fist. You're marvelous students, he says with a sinister look in his eye. Meanwhile, Yakuto continues to clash with Hani, the two struggling to dominate the other. Meanwhile, in the shambling masses of the battle pets, which, again, just look like zombies, Frey looks around, calling out to her big sis, saying, where are you? She then manages to spot her in the crowd. She calls out to her sister, and her sister shambles towards her. Her sister then lunges at her, with a terrified and trembling Frey calling out, don't you remember me? But Frey's sister pounces, as Frey can only call out to her big sister. We then cut to a flashback, and see a young little baby Frey. Several monster kids are teasing her, saying, ew, gross, her clothes are falling apart, her family's dirt poor. But the little Frey smiled. The kids question, what you smiling for? So gross. And the little Frey says, this is a hand-me-down from my big sis. It smells like her. I like it better than something brand new. The little Frey says, smiling, beaming. She then sees her sister waving in the distance, and she goes running to her, calling out. And as her sister greets her, they go home hand in hand. Oh, jeez. You're really trying to bust up my emotions on this one, ain't you? As the two walk home, Frey's sister says, if I graduate from Dead Rock, I can be a ruler of the human world, and I can get as much money as I want, so I'm gonna aim to get in there. And Frey looks up at her sister, saying, I'm gonna beat you someday. Her sister says, no way. Frey questions why. Her sister says, when you get strong, I'll have gotten even stronger. Frey then says, then I'll get even stronger than that. And her sister says, nah, you'll never catch up to me, cause I'm your big sis. I gotta be stronger than you so I can protect you. Frey then pouts and says, someday I swear, I'm gonna get stronger than you. Oh god. We then pick up with the two sisters in present day clashing, fired up burning fists. I'm surprised that her sister could still use her abilities in her current state. Jeez. The impact of their clash causes fire to emanate from the two of them, burning up the rest of the battle pet. Makoto recoils from the flames, calling out to Frey, and Frey's sister goes in with another fiery punch. Ooh, she manages to connect right to Frey's face, but as Frey staggers backwards, she doesn't fall. She simply wipes the blood from her mouth, saying, I knew you'd be strong, big sis. Frey then ignites her fist, ready to go in with another attack. She says, I always looked up to you. Makoto calls out from the other side of their burning clash, saying, Frey, it might be painful, but look at the reality. Her body systems are all decaying. She's beyond help. And Frey, with determination in her eyes, says, and then the hit. Gotta surpass my big sis, she says. Jeez. As in one blow, she utterly annihilates her sister's head. Jesus. Fucking hell. Makoto is stunned by this sight, and as Frey's sister's body falls to the floor, Frey breathes in and out. She then raises her fists in triumph, saying, how about that? I beat her. And as Makoto looks on in dismay, Frey, with tears in her eyes, cries out, I got stronger than her. And as the tears fall from her eyes, they start to boil. And as Frey lets out one more cry, her tears evaporate, her body starts to smolder, and she turns with fury in her eyes to Lozen, who looks on excitedly, saying, excellent. Frey's tears are nothing but steam emanating from her eyes as her face fills with rage, saying, I'll kill you. Makoto stops her, saying, not now. Frey angrily shouts, why not? He did that to my big sis. And Makoto tells her, Yakuto's out of control, and you're badly injured. Frey then turns to her with rage in her eyes. Honestly, I love the resolve on Makoto's face too. Like, she looks genuinely kind of pissed off. But also probably because Lozen's kind of encroaching on her territory with his abilities. Makoto says to Frey, "The time will come." Ooh. And she says with a sinister smile, "And when it does, I'll assist you." Gee, man, this series is dark. Meanwhile, the battle with Yakuto rages on. As Ryzen is knocked back, he shouts out, "Let's cut off a leg." Hien says, "No, go for the head." And as Hani continues to clash with Yakuto, they say, calm down, Yakuto. Are you stupid?" With Yakuto only being able to let out roars. Meanwhile, Lozen is still powering up. And as he strikes a pose, he says, "Knockout, demonic super macho fist." Oh. Suddenly a voice calls out, "That's enough." Ryzen, Hien, Hani, Lozen, they all stop dead in their tracks. And as Mikoto holds a despondent Frey, she also looks up. And we see a silhouette floating in the sky, and God says, "The sixth rule of Dead Rock. Damage to school facilities is an act of rebellion against God." Lozen calls out, "Principal!" And Makoto silently whispers, "God." But the rampaging Yakuto roars. Oh, and God makes his move towards Yakuto. Yakuto lets out a fiery blast from his mouth. Jeez. And God simply cuts right through it, almost as if he feels nothing. God smiles through the blast, and then with a simple breath from his mouth, he blows the blast away, including a good chunk of the arena. Jeez. He then slams his right hand onto Yakuto's head, saying, "You're going to the blood dungeon." And as a powerful blast emanates from God's hand, Yakuto roars as he's sent reeling back. Yakuto slams into the ground. Ryzen, Hien, and Hani all look on in shock as Lozen cheers, "Ooh, how sublime." And then the downed Yakuto slowly converts back into his normal human form. The blood splatters from his mouth. God looks down at him with a sinister smile, saying, "A black dragon?" We then cut over to Dead Rock Chapel, Love and Death, the third floor underground, in the disciplinary cell nicknamed the Blood Dungeon, where we see I think naked Yakuto chained to the wall. We then see Lilith, one of the 4 demon teachers with the root of succubus, come towards Yakuto, nudging up his head with her pipe, saying, "Oh my, what a cute little boy. Remember this? Killing is allowed at this school, but you can't destroy the buildings. Because Dead Rock is a part of God. It's a part of him. Like, literally or figuratively? I wonder." Yakuto questions, "What did I?" Lilith then questions him, saying, "You don't remember? Poor thing." She then grabs his no-no bits, which, I mean, in any other place that would cause a bit of a stir, but, I mean, considering this is a hellscape. Lilith says, "But God assigned you this punishment. Stay here in the blood dungeon for 1 week," she says as she walks away. But as Lilith walks off, a new figure approaches the chained up Yakuto, and as he raises his head, he sees the cat girl from before, telling him to shh. She then shouts as she sees that he is not wearing any pants. Yakuto tells her, "You're being loud after you shushed me." The girl says, "Quiet, pervert." Embarrassed, Yakuto looks away, saying, "I didn't choose this." The girl asks, "You want God to kill you, don't you?" Yakuto is taken aback by this statement. The girl then says, "Want to join forces? I know his weak spot." Oh. And this fully shocks Yakuto. Okay, I'm definitely interested to see where this ends up going. It was kind of obvious that this girl was going to be a bit of an ally, but the thing about this series is it's Mashima kind of somewhat taking the piss out of some of his usual tropes. In most situations, in Fairy Tail, there would have been a way to save Frey's sister. In Rave Master, it would have been more of a struggle for Frey to finally take down her sister and ultimately get past being forced to kill her. But here, it was fairly matter of fact. It didn't take that long for Frey to ultimately get to that point, because it was kind of obvious that those under Lozen's command were not alive anymore. They were essentially dead. But man, just the image of her incinerating her sister's head, just jeez. But It's good to see another Acnologia-style rampage just going across. Yeah, and Yakuto cannot control that form. It caused more problems than help, honestly. Which leaves me questioning, will the rest of Class 1F still follow Yakuto? I mean, they hardly followed him in the first place. But, I mean, Frey, if she wasn't on board with what Yakuto was trying to do originally, definitely is now. And I feel like over time we'll have the rest of the class have their own vendettas against the other teachers. But I really am left wondering, this cat girl, is she really someone to be trusted? I mean, naturally she's out to kill God as well for her own goals. Definitely. That's the name of the game for this series. I do love that Ryzen, Hien, and to a lesser degree Hani, I'm not really sure, we're all just willing to kill Yakuto right then and there. It's just like, oh, he's lost his mind, might as well just kill him and be done with it. Jesus, this series, it really does take me back to the days of Rave Master, where Mashima would just kill off dudes left, right, and center. Like, he was not afraid to maim, he was not afraid to have terrible things happen, he was not afraid to have the most messed up stuff happen. Like in Fairy Tail, outside of flashbacks, nothing really too bad really happened, aside from the characters getting beaten to bloody hell. But in Rave Master, man, characters would die. Like, there would be blood, and to a certain extent, the blood would flow and lead to a character's death. Like, plenty of heroic characters did not make it out in the end. There was a plethora of heroic sacrifices, which Mashima was kind of afraid to pull the trigger on when it came to Fairy Tail. I mean, how many times did it seem like Makarov was gonna die, and he's still kicking around in 100 Years Quest? But I like Rave Master for different reasons than why I like Fairy Tail, and I like Dead Rock for different reasons that I like the other series. And then there's Eden Zero, which was a little bit more of a mid-ground between Fairy Tail and Rave Master. I mean, in Eden Zero, characters die plenty of times, but they do come back, but the context and how certain characters come back is very different and a little bit more acceptable from my position. But Dead Rock, that is Mashima taking things to the extreme. So, and I'm still wondering what Lilith said. Dead Rock is God's body. I mean, are we talking from a metaphysical stance, or is there more to it than that? Could that be a hint, I wonder? Man, what if by the end of this we're fighting Dead Rock itself? That would be a pretty awesome finale. I continue to be interested in where this all goes, but I'm also wondering, do we have a bit of a ticking clock when it comes to Yakuto's body? I mean, it's obvious if you look at his left arm, it's obviously kind of decaying to a certain degree, and Makoto even called it out. I mean, is it simply that his body can't take the power it has? Is there a way to get around this decay? I also think it's a great thing that he can't control his ability. As powerful as they may be, it's like, it ain't nothing. And then God comes in and, a fully rampaging Yakuto is like, ain't nothing. I wonder, is God kind of like Voldemort? Destroys certain aspects of Dead Rock and you kill God. I do kind of like that. I do wonder if Mashima will stick to that, though. Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye.